Vincent, it's serious, Leo replied, his tone low and heavy. There's something going on at the office, something you need to know before it gets out of hand. Vincent's brow furrowed. He trusted Leo implicitly, they had been through too much together for anything less. What is it? Vincent pressed, keeping his voice steady even as anxiety twisted in his stomach. Leo glanced around, ensuring no one was listening. Ivy picked up some things over the last few weeks. Late-night visits from one of the junior project managers, files being copied, stuff that does not line up with regular work. It might be nothing, but I figured you'd want to know. Vincent sipped his coffee, feeling the weight of every sleepless night and every decision resting on his shoulders. Who is it? He asked. Elliot Wells, Leo said. Young, ambitious, one of the new hires from last year. She's been pulling odd hours and meeting with someone from the rival Greystone group. Vincent leaned back, the booth creaking beneath him. His instincts screamed betrayal, but he tempered his reaction. I want everything you have, every security feed, every badge record. Keep this between us, Leo? Leo nodded solemnly. Of course. But Vincent, keep your guard up. There's something off about all of this. Vincent finished his coffee in tense silence, the clatter of dishes and hum of conversation a distant backdrop. He forced a smile as they stood up, clapping Leo on the back. Thanks, old friend. I'll call you if I need anything else. As Vincent left Sullivan's and headed for his car, he called Amanda, determined to keep his promise. I'll see you at the pool, kiddo, he said, trying to inject cheer into his voice. She laughed as unfazed as ever. Not wait, Dad. You're going to love the relay this year. For a moment, the worries faded, replaced by pride in his daughter. Whatever storm was brewing at work or at home, he would face it head on. For Amanda, for Natalie, for the family he had built, and for the life he fought so hard to create, Vincent resolved not to let his world fall apart, not without a fight. He rushed to the reception desk, his voice urgent and desperate. Amanda Delacroix. She was brought in from a car accident. Where is she? The nurse behind the desk, her eyes filled with sympathy, quickly typed on her keyboard. She's in surgery, Mr. Delacroix. They're reworking on her now. You can wait in the family room down the hall. The doctor will come to speak with you as soon as they know more. Vincent nodded, his heart pounding in his chest. He turned and walked down the hall, his steps heavy and slow, each one a battle against the fear and anger that threatened to consume him. As he entered the family room, he saw a few other families huddled together, their faces etched with worry and fear. He took a seat in the corner, his elbows resting on his knees, his head in his hands. The minutes ticked by like hours, each second stretching into an eternity of uncertainty. Vincent's mind raced with thoughts of Amanda, her laughter, her determination, her fierce independence. He could not lose her. He would not. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself, but the weight of the day's revelations pressed down on him like a physical force. Leo's words echoed in his mind, the images of Natalie with another man burning into his consciousness. The betrayal cut deep, but it was the thought of Amanda, of her needing him now, that kept him from spiraling into the abyss of despair. He had to be strong for her. He had to hold it together no matter what. The door to the family room swung open and a doctor entered, his face serious but kind. Mr. Delacroix? He asked, looking around the room. Vincent stood, his heart in his throat. Yes, that's me. The doctor approached him, his expression grave. Amanda is out of surgery. She has a few broken bones and some internal injuries, but she's stable. She's going to be okay. Vincent felt his knees weaken with relief, and he sank back into his chair, his hands trembling. Thank you, he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. The doctor placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. She's a fighter, your daughter. She's going to need some time to recover, but she's strong. You can see her soon, but for now let's give her some rest. Vincent nodded, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. He had to see her, to hold her, to know that she was truly all right. But first, he had to deal with the storm that was brewing in his own life. He stood, his resolve hardening like steel. He would face whatever came his way, for Amanda, for himself, and for the truth that he now knew he had to uncover. He would not let this destroy him. He would fight, with every fiber of his being, to protect what was his and to find the strength to move forward no matter the cost. Vincent felt the world narrow to a pinpoint, his outrage held at bay only by sheer force of will. He took a steadying breath, fighting to keep his composure as Dr. Mitchell continued quietly, Mrs. Delacroix is stable but will need to be monitored. She'll be admitted after surgery. Same for Mr. Reynolds. Vincent nodded tightly, barely trusting himself to speak. Thank you, doctor. The words were brittle in his throat. He returned to Amanda's bedside, careful to compose his face before she woke again. Looking at his daughter, a life so precious, so fragile, he made a silent vow he would not let Natalie's reckless choices hurt Amanda any further. Whatever pain or betrayal he felt, his priority was clear. Several hours passed. Amanda drifted in and out of sleep, each time meeting Vincent's gentle reassurance. Throughout the day, the police came by and quietly took his statement. They asked about Amanda's route, if she'd been drinking, which she had not, and what he knew about the other vehicle. Vincent answered truthfully, sparing Amanda from any unnecessary stress. As the sun dipped low, Vincent stood by the hospital window looking out over the city. St. Louis, once a place of triumph and promise for his family, now felt tarnished by secrets and poor choices. The pain of betrayal was sharp, but realizing how close he'd come to losing Amanda put everything else into perspective. It was then that a nurse came in. "Mr. Delacroix, your wife is out of surgery and in recovery. She's asking for you." Vincent looked at Amanda, who was sleeping peacefully. He brushed a strand of hair from her forehead, then quietly left the room. Walking down the sterile, brightly lit corridor, he steeled himself for the confrontation ahead. As he entered Natalie's recovery room, the tension in the air was palpable. Natalie's eyes fluttered open, her gaze meeting his, full of confusion, fear, and something like remorse. But Vincent's face was unreadable, his feelings locked safely behind an impassive mask. Inside, though, a storm was raging. He realized as he stood there that there was no turning back from this moment. Choices had been made, and now the truth would have to be faced, no matter how painful it was for them both. He leaned back in his chair, the pieces falling into place with a sickening clarity. Natalie had been embezzling from their joint accounts, funneling money to her lover's failing business. And for what? To keep up appearances, to maintain her lavish lifestyle, to support a man who had nearly killed their daughter? The betrayal cut deep, but Vincent's resolve hardened like steel. He would not let this stand. He would not let them get away with it. He turned to Leo, who had been standing silently by the door. "I want eyes on Reynolds. Every move he makes, every call, every meeting. I want to know who he's talking to, who he's seeing, and what he's planning. And I want to know now." Leo nodded, his expression grim. "Already on it. I've got a team tailing him as we speak. Anything else?" Vincent's gaze shifted back to the documents spread across his desk. "Find out who his investors are. Who's backing him, who's funding his projects. I want names, addresses, everything. And dig into his past. I want to know every skeleton in his closet, every secret he's been hiding." Leo jotted down notes, his pen scratching quickly across the paper. "Consider it done. What about Natalie?" Vincent's voice was cold, unyielding. "Keep her under surveillance too. I want to know when she's released, where she goes, who she sees. And make sure she does not get near Amanda. Not until I say so." Leo's brow furrowed, but he nodded. "Understood. Anything else?" Vincent stood, his chair rolling back with a sharp scrape. "Yes. I want to know everything about this Riverside project. Every detail, every contract, every piece of paperwork. I want to know who's involved, who's benefiting, and who's getting paid off. And I want to know how to bring it all crashing down." Leo's eyes widened slightly, but he did not hesitate. "I'll get on it right away. Anything else?" Vincent's expression was one of cold determination. "No. That's all for now. Keep me updated every hour. I want to know the second anything changes." As Leo left the room, Vincent turned back to his desk, his mind racing with plans and strategies. He would not let Natalie and Reynolds get away with what they had done. He would not let them hurt his family again. He would find a way to expose their lies, to bring their schemes crashing down, and to make them pay for the pain they had caused. And he would do it all without mercy, without remorse, and without a shred of hesitation. For Amanda, for himself, and for the truth that he now knew he had to uncover, Vincent Delacroix would become the architect of their downfall, the mastermind of their destruction, and the unyielding force that would bring them to their knees. "You betrayed me, you endangered our daughter, and you stole from me." He leaned in, his voice dropping to a low, dangerous tone. "You were going to pay for that." Natalie's eyes widened in shock and fear. "Vincent, what are you saying?" "I'm saying that our marriage is over. I'm saying that you were going to lose everything, your home, your money, your freedom. I'm saying that you were going to spend a long time in prison thinking about the choices you made." He turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Oh, and Natalie?" He looked back at her, his expression cold and unyielding. "You were going to tell Amanda the truth. You were going to tell her about your affair, about the accident, about everything. And then you were going to let her go. You were going to let her choose to be with me, to build a life with me without you. Because you do not deserve her. You do not deserve either of us. And with that he walked out of the room, leaving Natalie alone with her tears and her regrets. Vincent made his way back to his car, his steps steady and purposeful. He had set the first domino in motion, and now he would watch as the rest fell into place. He would not rest until Natalie and Dominic had paid for their sins, until his family was safe, and until justice had been served. As he drove away from the hospital, he made a call to Leo. It's time to escalate things. I want Reynolds to know that we're coming for him. I want him to feel the pressure, to know that he not hide from what he's done. And I want you to make sure that Natalie understands the consequences of her actions. Make sure she knows that there's no going back, that there's no way out. Make sure she knows that she's going to pay. Leo's voice was grim but determined. Consider it done. I'll take care of it. Vincent ended the call, his mind already racing with the next steps in his plan. He would not be merciful, he would not be kind. He would be ruthless, unyielding, and unforgiving. For Amanda, for himself, and for the truth that he now knew he had to uncover, Vincent Delacroix would stop at nothing to bring Natalie and Dominic to justice. And as he drove through the streets of San Francisco, the city lights reflecting off his determined eyes, he knew that he was on the path to redemption, to justice, and to a future where his family could heal and grow strong once more. Vincent nodded, his expression serious. I need you to dig into his past, find out everything you can about his business dealings, his personal life, anything that could be used against him. I want to know who he's been working with, who he's been sleeping with, and who he's been paying off. I want to know every dirty secret he's been hiding. Alexis leaned back in her chair, her eyes narrowing as she studied Vincent. And why would I do that? What's in it for me? Vincent's smile was cold, calculated. I'll make it worth your while. I'll give you exclusive access to Delacroix Construction's projects, I'll introduce you to investors, I'll make sure your firm gets the kind of publicity that money not buy. But in return I want Reynolds destroyed. I want him exposed for the fraud and the criminal he is. I want him to suffer, and I want you to help me make that happen. Alexis's eyes gleamed with interest. You're talking about a full-scale media campaign. This would not be cheap and it would not be easy. But I think I can help you. I have some connections, some resources that could be useful. But I'll need more information, more evidence. I'll need to know exactly what you're accusing him of, and I'll need to know that you can back it up. Vincent slid a folder across the table. Everything you need is in there. Bank statements, emails, text messages, witness statements. It's all documented, all verifiable. And if you need more, I can get it. I have people on the inside, people who are willing to talk. People who are willing to testify. Alexis opened the folder, her eyes scanning the contents quickly. This is impressive. But it's not enough. I need more. I need something big, something that will grab headlines and keep them. Something that will make Reynolds a pariah in this city. Vincent's smile was slow, dangerous. I have something in mind. But it's risky. It's dangerous. And it's going to take a lot of coordination, a lot of planning. But if we pull it off, it will be the end of Dominic Reynolds. It will be the end of his career, the end of his reputation, the end of his life as he knows it. And it will be the beginning of justice for my family. Are you in, Alexis? Are you willing to take the risk, to do whatever it takes to bring him down? Alexis looked up from the folder, her eyes meeting Vincent's. I'm in. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll use every resource, every connection, every trick in the book to make sure that Reynolds pays for what he's done. I'll make sure that he suffers, that he's exposed for the monster he is. And I'll make sure that your family gets the justice they deserve. Vincent nodded, satisfied. Good. Then let us get to work. Let us start planning, let us start coordinating. Let us start building the case that will bring Dominic Reynolds to his knees. Because I will not rest until he's paid for what he's done. I will not rest until my family is safe, until my daughter is healed, and until the truth is known. And I will not rest until justice is served. Make sure the results come back with significant contamination. We need to make sure Reynolds' project is tied up in red tape for as long as possible. Leo nodded, jotting down notes. Consider it done. And what about Natalie? She's been trying to contact Amanda again. Vincent's expression darkened. Block her calls, monitor her communications. I want to know every move she makes. Leo hesitated. She's still your wife, Vincent. Despite everything, she's still Amanda's mother. Vincent's voice was cold, unyielding. She made her choices, Leo. She chose to betray our family, to endanger our daughter. Now she has to live with the consequences. Leo nodded, understanding the finality in Vincent's tone. I'll handle it. Vincent turned back to his plans, his mind already racing ahead to the next steps in his carefully orchestrated game. He would not rest until Natalie and Dominic had paid for their sins, until his family was safe, and until justice had been served. As Leo left the room, Vincent picked up his phone, dialing a number he had not called in years. The line rang twice before a familiar voice answered. "Vincent? It's been a long time." Vincent leaned back in his chair, his eyes scanning the documents spread across his desk. "I need your help, Marcus. There's someone I need you to look into. Someone who needs to be taken care of." Marcus's voice was cautious. "What kind of help are we talking about, Vincent?" Vincent's smile was cold, calculated. The kind that does not leave any loose ends. The kind that makes sure a problem goes away permanently. Marcus was silent for a moment before responding. "I'll need more information. Who is this person, and what do you want done?" Vincent began to outline his plan, his voice steady and unyielding. He would not be merciful, he would not be kind. He would be ruthless, unyielding, and unforgiving. For Amanda, for himself, and for the truth that he now knew he had to uncover, Vincent Delacroix would stop at nothing to bring Natalie and Dominic to justice. And as he hung up the phone, he knew that he was one step closer to achieving his goal, one step closer to rebuilding his family and his life from the ashes of betrayal and deceit. At precisely 7:10 p.m., Dominic Reynolds appeared at the lobby entrance, looking strained but trying to project a veneer of confidence. Sweat glistened at his temple despite the cool air. Reynolds spotted Vincent and approached with a forced casualness, glancing around as if memorizing faces. Vincent gave nothing away, simply gesturing to the empty seat across from him. "They said you wanted to talk. You've got 5 minutes. Dominic hesitated, then sat, his fingers drumming nervously on the polished tabletop. "I appreciate you agreeing to meet. I know you have every reason to hate me. I want to make things right, or at least make things easier for both of us." Vincent's eyes narrowed slightly. "Go on." Dominic leaned in, lowering his voice. "Look, I know I've made mistakes. Natalie and it got out of hand. But I swear, I never meant for Amanda to get hurt. I did not even realize until after the accident you ran," Vincent cut in, his tone icy. "You left her there. Do not pretend you care." Dominic swallowed, visibly shaken, but pressed on. "Either way, I am here because things have gotten complicated. I have people after me, investors, others. I am being squeezed. I need a way out." Vincent's face betrayed nothing. "And what does that have to do with me?" Dominic's eyes flicked around the lobby. "I've got information. On the city permits, the investors, the payments, even some things about Natalie you do not know. If I go down, a lot of others go down with me. But if you help me, money, legal protection, I'll give you everything. Evidence, testimony, you name it." Silence settled heavily over the table for a moment. Vincent sipped his whiskey, regarding Dominic with practiced indifference. "You think you're in a position to bargain?" Dominic leaned forward desperately. "I would not be here if I had options. But you can hurt me, or you can help me win my freedom and bring down everyone behind this. Your choice. You rebluffing." Vincent's smile widened, cold and calculating. "Am I? Then why did Natalie suddenly decide to cooperate with my investigators? Why did she hand over every document, every email, every text message detailing your little operation? Why did she agree to testify against you in exchange for immunity?" Dominic's eyes widened in shock. "She would not. She not. She's in this as deep as I am." Vincent's laughter was harsh, bitter. "She's in this because of you. Because you convinced her to betray her family, to risk everything for your ambition. But now she's realized the mistake she made. And she's willing to do whatever it takes to protect herself and her daughter." Dominic's hands clenched into fists, his knuckles white. "You lying. You trying to scare me." Vincent's expression darkened. "I do not need to scare you, Dominic. You should be terrified. Because I'm not bluffing. I have everything I need to destroy you. Every piece of evidence, every witness, every shred of proof. And I'm going to use it." He leaned down, his voice dropping to a low, dangerous growl. "You finished, Dominic. Your project, your reputation, your freedom, it's all over. And there's nothing you can do to stop it." Vincent turned to leave, then paused, looking back over his shoulder. "Oh, and Dominic?" he said, his voice cold and unyielding. "If you ever try to contact Natalie or Amanda again, if you ever come near them, I will make sure you regret it. I will make sure you suffer. And I will make sure you never see the light of day again." With that, he walked away, leaving Dominic alone at the table, his face a mask of shock and fear. Vincent made his way back to his car, his mind already racing with the next steps in his plan. He had set the stage, had laid the groundwork for Dominic's downfall. Now it was time to execute. As he drove through the streets of San Francisco, the city lights reflecting off his determined eyes, he knew that he was on the path to redemption, to justice, and to a future where his family could heal and grow strong once more. And as he pulled into his driveway, he saw Leo waiting for him, his expression grim. "What is it?" Vincent asked, his voice steady and calm. Leo handed him a folder. "New developments. Natalie's been trying to contact Amanda again. And Reynolds has been making some desperate moves. He's trying to sell off assets, liquidate investments, anything to keep his project afloat. But it's too late. The zoning commission has frozen all his permits. The environmental reports are in and they not good. His project is dead in the water." Vincent nodded, a cold smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "Good. Then let's make sure he knows it. Let's make sure he understands that there's no way out, no escape from the consequences of his actions. Let's make sure he suffers." And with that, Vincent turned and walked into his house, ready to face whatever came next, ready to fight for his family and ready to bring Dominic Reynolds to his knees. The Riverside project was officially dead and Reynolds' reputation was in tatters. Vincent watched the news coverage from his office, a sense of grim satisfaction washing over him. He had struck a devastating blow and the fallout was only just beginning. His phone buzzed with a text from Leo. "Natalie is at the house. She's demanding to see Amanda." Vincent's jaw tightened. "Tell her to wait. I'll be there soon." As he made his way home, Vincent prepared himself for the confrontation ahead. He found Natalie pacing in the foyer, her face a mask of desperation and anger. "Where is she?" Natalie demanded, her voice shaking. "Where's Amanda?" Vincent's expression was cold, unyielding. "She's upstairs, resting. She's been through a lot, Natalie. She does not need this right now." Natalie's eyes flashed with fury. "You not keep her from me. I'm her mother." Vincent's voice was low, dangerous. "You gave up that right when you chose to betray our family. When you chose to endanger her life. You have no claim on her, Natalie. Not anymore." Natalie's face crumpled, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Vincent, please. I made a mistake. I was weak, I was stupid, but I love her. I love you both. I can fix this." Vincent's laughter was harsh, bitter. "You not fix this, Natalie. You not undo what you've done. You not take back the pain you've caused. You not erase the choices you made." Natalie's tears turned to sobs, her body racked with grief. "I'm sorry, Vincent. I'm so sorry." Vincent's expression softened slightly, but his voice remained firm. "Sorry is not enough, Natalie. Actions have consequences. And now you have to live with yours." He turned to the security guard standing nearby. "Escort Mrs. Delacroix off the property. Make sure she understands that she is not welcome here." As Natalie was led away, screaming and crying, Vincent stood in the foyer, his heart heavy but his resolve unshaken. He had done what was necessary, what was right. He had protected his family, had fought for their safety and their future. And he would continue to do so no matter what challenges lay ahead. As he made his way upstairs to check on Amanda, he knew that the battle was far from over. But he was ready. Ready to face whatever came next, ready to fight for his family, and ready to bring those who had wronged them to justice. And as he entered Amanda's room, seeing her sleeping peacefully, he knew that he would do whatever it took to keep her safe, to keep her happy, and to give her the life she deserved. A life free from the shadows of her mother's betrayal, a life filled with love, with laughter, and with the promise of a brighter future. "Move back slowly." Vincent's mind raced, but he complied, stepping back into the foyer. His eyes flicked to Amanda, who looked more shocked than frightened. Lisa, however, was visibly terrified, her eyes wide with fear. Walsh closed the door behind them, his gun never wavering. "You're making a big mistake," Vincent said, his voice calm and measured. "You not just walk in here and threaten my family." Reynolds sneered, his grip tightening on Amanda's arm. "We're not here to threaten, Vincent. We're here to end this. Once and for all." Vincent's expression remained calm, but his mind was working furiously. He needed to buy time to find a way out of the situation. "And how do you plan to do that?" he asked, his voice steady. Walsh stepped forward, his gun still pointed at Vincent. "By making sure you not hurt us anymore. By making sure you not destroy everything we've built." Vincent's eyes narrowed. "You think this is about me? You think I'm the one who's been destroying you?" Reynolds laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "Do not play dumb, Vincent. We know it's you. We know you've been behind every setback, every scandal, every piece of bad luck that's befallen us. And we're not going to take it anymore." Vincent's expression darkened. "You're delusional. You've been stealing, cheating, and lying. You've been driving drunk, endangering innocent lives. You've been laundering money for criminals. And you think I'm the one who's been destroying you? Walsh's expression did not change, but his grip on the gun tightened. We're not here to debate the details. We're here to make sure you not hurt us anymore. And if you cooperate, maybe we'll let your family go. Vincent's eyes flicked to Amanda, who was watching him with a mixture of fear and determination. He knew he had to act fast, had to find a way to disarm Walsh and Reynolds before they could do any harm. But he also knew he had to be smart, had to be careful. One wrong move and they could pull the trigger. One wrong move and his family could be in even greater danger. He took a deep breath, his mind racing as he tried to come up with a plan. He had to buy time, had to find a way to outsmart them, to outmaneuver them, to save his family from the consequences of their reckless, desperate actions. And as he stood there facing down the barrel of a gun, he knew that he would do whatever it took to protect them, to keep them safe, and to bring those who had wronged them to justice. But for now he had to play along, had to pretend to cooperate, had to find a way to turn the tables on his enemies and come out on top. And as he took a step forward, his hands raised in a gesture of surrender, he knew that the battle was far from over. But he was ready. Ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged him to their knees. Vincent repeated, his voice steady and calm. She's been trying to contact me to see Amanda. She knows everything, Reynolds. She knows about your schemes, your lies, your crimes. She knows you were driving the night of the accident. She knows you left Amanda there to die. Reynolds' face paled, but he tried to bluff. You lying. Natalie would not betray me. Vincent's smile was cold, unyielding. Natalie would do anything to save herself. And she knows that the only way to do that is to testify against you. To tell the truth about what you've done. Walsh's grip on the gun tightened, his eyes flicking nervously between Vincent, Reynolds, and the window. Reynolds, his voice shaking, turned to Walsh. We need to go. Now. Walsh hesitated, then nodded, backing toward the door. But as he reached for the handle, the door burst open. Natalie stood in the doorway, her eyes wild and desperate. She was holding a gun, her hands shaking as she pointed it at Reynolds. You son of a bitch, she spat, her voice choked with tears and rage. You nearly killed my daughter. You destroyed my family. You used me. Reynolds' eyes widened in shock. Natalie, put the gun down. You do not want to do this. Natalie's voice was cold, unyielding. I do want to do this. I want to end this once and for all. I want to make sure you not hurt anyone else. I want to make sure you pay for what you've done. Walsh, seeing an opportunity, lunged at Natalie, trying to disarm her. But Vincent was faster. He dove across the room, tackling Walsh to the ground. The gun went off, the sound deafening in the confined space. Lisa screamed, and Amanda ducked, covering her head with her arms. Vincent wrestled with Walsh, his adrenaline surging as he fought to disarm the bigger man. Reynolds, seeing his chance to escape, turned and ran, pushing past Natalie in his haste. But Natalie was quicker. She spun around, her gun still in her hand, and fired. Reynolds stumbled, a look of shock on his face, before crumpling to the ground. Natalie stood there, her chest heaving, her eyes wide with disbelief. She had shot him. She had actually shot him. Walsh, seeing his accomplice fall, redoubled his efforts to break free from Vincent's grasp. But Vincent was fueled by rage and adrenaline, his strength seemingly limitless as he fought to subdue the larger man. Finally, with a grunt of effort, he managed to wrench the gun from Walsh's hand and bring the butt of it crashing down on his temple. Walsh went limp, unconscious, and Vincent rolled off him, panting and bleeding from a cut on his forehead. As he stood up, he saw Natalie still standing there, the gun hanging limply at her side, her eyes filled with tears. He walked over to her, gently taking the gun from her hand. It's over, Natalie, he said softly. It's finally over. She looked up at him, her eyes filled with a mixture of relief, regret, and fear. I had to do it, Vincent, she whispered. I had to make sure he could not hurt anyone else. I had to make sure he paid for what he did to Amanda, to us. Vincent nodded, understanding in his eyes. I know, Natalie, I know. He turned to Amanda, who was watching them with a mixture of shock and relief. Are you okay, sweetheart? He asked, his voice gentle. Amanda nodded, her eyes filling with tears. "I'm okay, Dad. I'm okay." Lisa, who had been huddled on the sofa, stood up shakily, her face pale. "I think I need a drink," she said, her voice trembling. Vincent nodded, turning to the security guard who had finally arrived, his head bleeding from the blow he had received earlier. "Call the police," he instructed. "Tell them we have 2 men down, and we need immediate assistance." As the guard spoke into his radio, Vincent turned back to Natalie, his expression softening. "You did the right thing, Natalie. You did what had to be done. And now it's over. It's finally over." Natalie nodded, her eyes filled with tears. "I hope so, Vincent. I truly hope so." As the police arrived, Vincent stood there, his arm around Amanda, his eyes on Natalie. He had finally brought those who had wronged him to justice. But at what cost? He looked down at Amanda, her face pale but determined, and he knew that he would do it all over again if he had to. He would do whatever it took to protect his family, to keep them safe, and to bring those who had wronged them to justice. And as the police led Natalie and Walsh away, he knew that the battle was finally over. But the war was far from won, for there were still those who sought to destroy him, to tear his family apart, and to bring him down. And he would be ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who dared to challenge him to their knees. As the police finished securing the scene, Vincent turned to Amanda, his expression softening. "You did well, sweetheart. You were brave and smart." Amanda managed a small smile, but her eyes were filled with a mix of relief and lingering fear. "I just wanted to help, Dad. I did not want them to hurt you or Aunt Lisa." Vincent pulled her into a tight embrace, feeling a surge of pride and gratitude. "You did exactly that. You were incredible." Lisa, still shaken, approached them, her eyes red from crying. "I not believe this happened. I thought we were all going to die." Vincent put an arm around her, offering comfort. "It's over now, Lisa. You both did amazing. I'm so proud of you." The police detective in charge, a stern-faced woman named Martinez, approached Vincent. "Mr. Delacroix, we need to take your statements formally, and we need to process the scene a bit more. Can you and your family step outside for a moment?" Vincent nodded, leading Amanda and Lisa out onto the front porch. As they waited, Vincent's mind raced, trying to process the events of the evening. He had come so close to losing everything, to having his family torn apart by the very people he had sought to destroy. But they had fought back, had shown strength and courage in the face of danger. And they had won. As the police finished their work inside, Vincent turned to Amanda, his expression serious. "We need to talk, sweetheart, about everything that happened. About your mother, about Reynolds, about everything." Amanda nodded, her eyes filled with a mixture of determination and sadness. "I know, Dad. I'm ready. I want to know the truth." Vincent took a deep breath, steeling himself for the conversation ahead. "All right then, let us go inside. Let us talk." As they entered the house, Vincent led them to the living room, the scene of the earlier confrontation now cleared of police and evidence technicians. He sat down on the sofa, pulling Amanda and Lisa close. "There's a lot you both need to know. About your mother, about Reynolds, about the choices they made and the consequences they faced. And about the choices I made and the consequences I'm still facing." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "Your mother and Reynolds were involved in a lot of illegal activities. They were stealing money, laundering it through Reynolds' development projects, and bribing officials to get permits approved. They were driving drunk the night of the accident, and they left you there to die. They nearly killed you, Amanda. And they destroyed our family in the process." Amanda's eyes filled with tears, but she listened intently, her expression resolute. "I know, Dad. I knew some of it, but not all of it. I want to know everything. I want to understand why they did this to us." Vincent nodded, his voice steady and calm. "I'll tell you everything, sweetheart. Everything. And then, when you ready, we'll face the future together. We'll rebuild our family, and we'll make sure that nothing like this ever happens again." As he spoke, Vincent felt a sense of peace wash over him. He had fought a long, hard battle, had faced down enemies both within and without. But he had won. He had protected his family, had brought those who had wronged them to justice, and had emerged stronger and more determined than ever. And as he looked into Amanda's eyes, seeing the strength and courage that shone there, he knew that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together, that they would rebuild, they would heal, and they would emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future. She stood up, her resolve evident in her stance. I want to be a part of it. I want to make sure she pays for what she did. To me, to you, to our family. Vincent's heart swelled with pride and a touch of sadness. Are you sure, sweetheart? This would not be easy. It might get ugly. Amanda's eyes flashed with determination. I'm sure, Dad. I want to face her, to look her in the eye and tell her how much she hurt us. I want her to know that she's not just walk away from this, that she has to face the consequences of her actions. Vincent stood, pulling Amanda into a tight embrace. All right then, we'll do this together. We'll make sure she pays for what she has done. And we'll make sure that our family comes out of this stronger than ever. As they pulled away, Vincent saw the strength in Amanda's eyes, the same strength that had seen him through his darkest hours. He knew then that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together, that they would rebuild their family and emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future. But for now, there was one more thing he needed to do. One more piece of the puzzle that needed to fall into place. He turned to Amanda, his expression serious. There's one more thing we need to do, sweetheart. We need to find your mother. We need to make sure she faces justice for what she has done. Amanda nodded, her expression resolute. I'm ready, Dad. Let us find her. Let us make her pay. Vincent smiled, a cold, determined smile. Then let us get to work. Let us find Natalie Delacroix and bring her to justice. Together. As they left the study, Vincent knew that the battle was far from over. But he was ready. Ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged him to their knees. And as he stood there, his arm around his daughter, he knew that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together. That they would rebuild, they would heal, and they would emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future. And as they made their way through the house, Vincent knew that the first step in that journey was to find Natalie. To confront her, to make her face the consequences of her actions, and to bring her to justice. And as he looked into Amanda's eyes, seeing the strength and determination that shone there, he knew that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together. That they would rebuild, they would heal, and they would emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future. And as they stepped out into the night, Vincent knew that the battle was far from over. But he was ready. Ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged him to their knees. Wright's pen tapped meaningfully against a thick folder of documents. Coincidental. That's an interesting position considering your history of aggressive competition. Are you saying you had no knowledge that your property purchase would hinder Reynolds? No desire to slow or stop his project? Vincent met her gaze, his composure unflinching. I follow the letter of the law in every transaction, MS. Right? If my investments happen to inconvenience unethical developers, that's not my problem. She leaned forward, eyes narrowing. And yet, soon after your purchase, city permits for Reynolds' project were suspended and anonymous tips were sent about environmental issues. Care to comment on that? Vincent's smile did not move. If the authorities choose to investigate developers for permit violations, that's their prerogative. As for anonymous tips, I can hardly be responsible for the actions of concerned citizens in San Francisco. Wright's lips tightened into a line. She flipped to the next page. Let us talk about your wife. Were you aware of any allegations or concerns regarding Mrs. Delacroix's personal safety during your marriage? Concerns that she may have voiced to friends, colleagues, or Vincent cut her off firm but calm. My wife never expressed any fear to me. If she claims otherwise now, perhaps she is attempting to rewrite history for strategic purposes. Wright arched an eyebrow. You re-suggesting she would fabricate threats? I am suggesting Natalie is under significant pressure with the police investigating her for conspiracy and fraud. Her current narrative may reflect that desperation. Wright sat back, collecting her notes. That's all for now, Mr. Delacroix. But know that we're just getting started. My client will pursue every legal avenue to protect her reputation and her relationship with Amanda. Vincent rose, gathering his papers. That's her right? But Amanda's wishes are clear and the truth has a way of coming to light. He nodded to Thomas, who stood and followed him out of the deposition room. In the hallway, Thomas murmured, "She's as relentless as they say. But their case is built on sand, Vincent. The evidence is too overwhelming." Vincent nodded, his jaw tight. "She's fighting the only way she is left. But in the end, the facts will speak louder than her lies." As they exited the building, Vincent felt the weariness of battle upon him, but also a growing certainty. The storm was breaking. Natalie's legal maneuvers might be serpentine, but he was ready for every twist in the garden's shadows. And whatever venom she tried to inject, he and Amanda would endure. For the first time, hope tempered his exhaustion, because now he was not fighting alone. She claims Amanda's statements about the accident and Natalie's relationship with Reynolds were influenced by you, painting your daughter as a victim of your alleged vendetta rather than the real events. Leo's jaw clenched as he continued. Some publications are running sympathetic profiles of Natalie, casting her as a wronged woman and devoted mother doing anything to see her child. Vincent's eyes narrowed to icy slits as he handed the tablet back. Leaks, interviews, rumors. Natalie's running out of legal angles, so she's turned to the court of public opinion. He took a deep breath, forcing his voice to remain steady. "Where's Amanda now?" "With your sister," Leo assured him. "She has not seen any of the stories yet. But it's only a matter of time." Vincent nodded, thinking quickly. "Get Alexis Palmer on the phone. I want a statement ready before anything goes live. Just the facts, Amanda's injuries, Natalie and Reynolds' actions, the ongoing investigation. No embellishment, no drama, just the truth, clearly and publicly stated." He stood, straightening his tie. "And keep Amanda out of the spotlight. If reporters try to approach her or Lisa, shut it down hard. From this point on, we control the narrative. No one gets to rewrite what happened to my daughter." Leo gave a grim smile. "You got it. Palmer Media will have something ready within the hour, and I'll double the security on Amanda and Lisa." Vincent watched as Leo strode from the office, his own anger channeled now into resolve. Natalie could play her games with the press and sympathetic friends, but the facts were immutable, and so was Amanda's right to choose her own future. Vincent would protect that right ferociously, no matter what false narratives Natalie tried to create. He glanced at the window, San Francisco's cityscape brisk and bright beneath a cloudless sky. The battle was far from over, but at last, Vincent understood the lay of the land. He was fighting for his family's truth and more determined than ever to see them through, whatever the cost. Amanda looked up at him, her eyes filled with a mix of gratitude and determination. "I want that. I need to do this on my terms, with you by my side." Vincent smiled softly, ruffling her hair. "Then that's what we'll do. We'll face her together, and you'll say what you need to say. And after that, you'll know you've done everything you can to move forward." The next day, Vincent and Amanda arrived at St. Francis Memorial Hospital. The sterile corridors and antiseptic smell did little to ease the tension in Vincent's shoulders. He had insisted on a private room, away from prying eyes and ears. As they entered, Natalie lay in the bed, her face pale but her eyes alert. She looked up as they entered, her expression a mix of hope and fear. "Amanda," she whispered, reaching out a hand. Amanda hesitated, then stepped forward, stopping just out of reach. "Mom," she acknowledged, her voice steady. Natalie's eyes flicked to Vincent, then back to Amanda. "Thank you for coming. I know I do not deserve it." Vincent remained silent, his expression unreadable. This was Amanda's moment, her choice. Amanda took a deep breath, her voice steady and clear. "You rewrite, Mom. You do not deserve it. But I'm here because I need to say some things to you. Face to face." Natalie's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded, encouraging Amanda to continue. "You hurt me, Mom. You hurt Dad. You hurt our family. You chose to betray us, to put your own desires above our safety and happiness. You chose to lie, to cheat, to steal. And you chose to walk away from us, to leave us to pick up the pieces of your reckless choices." Natalie's tears spilled over, but she made no move to interrupt. "I forgive you, Mom. I forgive you for the pain you caused, for the fear, for the betrayal. But I not forget. And I not trust you. Not anymore." Natalie's sobs filled the room, but Amanda stood firm, her voice unwavering. "I love you, Mom. But I choose to protect myself, to protect my heart from the pain you've caused. I choose to move forward, to heal, to grow stronger. And I choose to do it without you." With that, Amanda turned and walked out of the room, leaving Natalie sobbing on the bed. Vincent followed, his heart swelling with pride. As they stepped out into the hallway, Amanda turned to him, her eyes filled with tears. "I did it, Dad. I said what I needed to say." Vincent pulled her into a tight embrace, his voice filled with emotion. "You did, sweetheart. You were incredible. And I'm so proud of you." As they made their way back through the hospital, Vincent knew that this was just the beginning. The battle for their family's future was far from over. But with Amanda by his side, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged them to justice. And as they stepped out into the sunlight, Vincent knew that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together. That they would rebuild, they would heal, and they would emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future. Her eyes were red-rimmed and her hands trembled slightly as she stood to greet them. "Amanda," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Thank you for coming." Amanda hesitated, then stepped forward, stopping a few feet away from her mother. "Mom," she acknowledged, her voice steady. Natalie's eyes flicked to Vincent, then back to Amanda. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. For everything. I never meant for any of this to happen." Vincent remained silent, his expression unreadable. This was Amanda's moment, her choice. Amanda took a deep breath, her voice clear and strong. "You hurt me, Mom. You hurt Dad. You hurt our family. You chose to betray us, to put your own desires above our safety and happiness. You chose to lie, to cheat, to steal. And you chose to walk away from us, to leave us to pick up the pieces of your reckless choices." Natalie's eyes filled with tears, but she made no move to interrupt. "I forgive you, Mom. I forgive you for the pain you caused, for the fear, for the betrayal. But I see not forget. And I see not trust you. Not anymore." Natalie's sobs filled the courtyard, but Amanda stood firm, her voice unwavering. "I love you, Mom. But I choose to protect myself, to protect my heart from the pain you've caused. I choose to move forward, to heal, to grow stronger. And I choose to do it without you." With that, Amanda turned and walked away, leaving Natalie sobbing in the courtyard. Vincent followed, his heart swelling with pride. As they made their way back to the car, Amanda turned to him, her eyes filled with tears. "I did it, Dad. I said what I needed to say." Vincent pulled her into a tight embrace, his voice filled with emotion. "You did, sweetheart. You were incredible. And I'm so proud of you." As they drove away from the wellness center, Vincent knew that this was just the beginning. The battle for their family's future was far from over. But with Amanda by his side, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged them to justice. And as they stepped out into the sunlight, Vincent knew that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together. That they would rebuild, they would heal, and they would emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future. The next day, Vincent sat in his office reviewing the latest reports from Russell. Natalie's stay at Lakeside Wellness Center was proving to be a public relations coup. Sympathetic articles and interviews were flooding the media, painting her as a victim of Vincent's controlling behavior and the tragic consequences of her affair. Meanwhile, Maxwell Brennan was using the opportunity to launch a smear campaign against Delacroix Construction, alleging unethical business practices and questionable project management. Vincent's phone rang. "Thomas Wells." "Vincent, we need to address these allegations publicly. The longer we let them fester, the more damage they'll do to your reputation and the company's." Vincent nodded, his expression grim. "I agree. Let's schedule a press conference for tomorrow. We'll address the allegations head-on with evidence to back up our claims. And Thomas, make sure to invite Natalie and Brennan. Let's give them a chance to face the truth in public." As the day of the press conference arrived, Vincent stood before a bank of microphones, Amanda by his side. Behind them, a large screen displayed evidence of Natalie and Reynolds' crimes as well as the smear campaign orchestrated by Brennan. Vincent began, his voice steady and calm. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. I stand before you not just as the CEO of Delacroix Construction, but as a father, a husband, and a man who has been wronged. Wronged by the people I trusted most and wronged by those who seek to profit from our pain." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "The allegations made against me and my company are baseless, fabricated to distract from the truth. The truth that my wife, Natalie Delacroix, and her lover, Dominic Reynolds, conspired to steal from me, to betray me, and to endanger the life of my daughter." He gestured to the screen behind him where photos of the accident scene, police reports, and financial documents were displayed. The evidence speaks for itself. Natalie and Reynolds were driving drunk the night of the accident, leaving my daughter to die in the street. They stole millions from our joint accounts, funneled it through Reynolds' failing projects, and laundered money for criminal organizations. And when their schemes began to unravel, they turned to lies and manipulation to save themselves. Vincent turned to face Natalie, who sat in the front row, her expression a mix of defiance and desperation. You chose this path, Natalie. You chose to betray our family, to put your own desires above our safety and happiness. And now you must face the consequences of your actions. He turned back to the cameras, his voice filled with conviction. As for Maxwell Brennan, his allegations are nothing more than a desperate attempt to gain a competitive advantage. A man who would stoop to such lows is not a man I respect, and not a man I will allow to tarnish the reputation of my company or my family. He gestured to the screen again, where evidence of Brennan's own questionable business practices was displayed. The truth will out, ladies and gentlemen. And when it does, those who have sought to profit from our pain will be exposed for the liars and the cheats that they are. With that, Vincent stepped back, allowing Thomas to take the podium and field questions from the assembled reporters. As the press conference drew to a close, Vincent knew that the battle was far from over. But he was ready. Ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged him to justice. And as he stood there, his arm around Amanda, he knew that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together. That they would rebuild, they would heal, and they would emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future. Are you sure about that, Natalie? Because the hotel security footage tells a different story. And so do the witnesses who saw you and Reynolds arguing that night. Natalie's expression flickered with something akin to panic before she regained her composure. You re-lying. You re-trying to twist everything to make me look bad. Vincent leaned forward, his voice low and dangerous. I do not need to lie, Natalie. The truth is more than enough. You see, I know about the documents you were hiding. The ones that could implicate you and Reynolds in your little scheme. The ones that could prove your involvement in the accident, in the theft, in everything. Natalie's face paled, but she tried to bluff. I do not know what you talking about. Vincent smiled coldly. Then perhaps you should ask your lover about it. Ask him why he sent Garrett Walsh to retrieve those documents. Ask him why he's been trying to frame me for crimes he committed. Natalie's eyes widened in shock, but she quickly recovered. You delusional, Vincent. You trying to turn my daughter against me, to turn the public against me. But I would not let you. I would not let you destroy me. Vincent's smile did not reach his eyes. It's too late for that, Natalie. You destroyed yourself the moment you chose to betray our family. The moment you chose to put your own desires above our safety and happiness. The moment you chose to lie, to cheat, to steal. And now you have to face the consequences of your actions. Natalie's expression turned to one of pure hatred. You think you won, Vincent. You think you beaten me. But you wrong. I will not go down without a fight. I will not let you take everything from me. Vincent stood, his expression unyielding. Then let the fight begin, Natalie. Because I will not back down. I will not let you hurt my family anymore. I will not let you get away with what you've done. And I will not let you destroy what matters most to me. With that, Vincent turned and walked away, leaving Natalie alone in the courtyard. As he and Amanda made their way back to the car, Vincent knew that the battle was far from over. But he was ready. Ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged him to justice. And as he looked into Amanda's eyes, seeing the strength and determination that shone there, he knew that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together. That they would rebuild, they would heal, and they would emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future. As they drove away from the wellness center, Vincent's phone rang. It was Russell, his voice urgent. Vincent, we've got a problem. Maxwell Brennan just made a public statement accusing Delacroix Construction of bribery and corruption. He's got documents, Vincent. Documents that look like they came from our internal servers. Vincent's grip tightened on the steering wheel. Get Thomas on the line. We need to address this immediately. As he ended the call, Vincent knew that the storm was far from over. But he was ready. Ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged him to their knees. And as he looked into Amanda's eyes, seeing the strength and determination that shone there, he knew that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together. That they would rebuild, they would heal, and they would emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future. Russell cleared his throat, glancing down at his notes. When we were surveilling Reynolds and Walsh, we used a burner phone to ping Walsh's location. He hesitated, meeting Vincent's gaze. The number was registered to one of your holding companies for privacy purposes. If Walsh ever called back or tried to trace those pings, it could be spun as evidence of contact. Vincent exhaled, the pieces fitting together with chilling precision. So their case is built on a technicality. They deliberately twisting standard due diligence into proof of conspiracy. Thomas leaned in, his tone serious. We need to get ahead of this, Vincent. If they get a judge to even partially buy the narrative, it could muddy the waters, not just for the divorce, but for any criminal proceedings involving Natalie or Reynolds. Leo's jaw set grimly. Let me tighten up any loose ends on surveillance. We get affidavits from our team confirming you never personally contacted Walsh. He turned to Russell. Pull every timestamp, every file. Lock in every legitimate communication and prepare to testify about your role if necessary. Vincent nodded. Good. I'll have Alexis Palmer's team start prepping a press response. This is not the time for half measures. If Caroline Wright and Brennan want to escalate, we'll meet them head on. But we stick to documented facts, the criminal records, financials, the real sequence of events. On the screen, Thomas managed a wry smile. They making a lot of noise, but the evidence on your side is overwhelming. We just have to keep to the high ground, no overreactions, no spin. Just facts. A heavy silence settled over the study as the gravity of the situation sunk in. Finally, Vincent stood and looked around at his team. Let them come. My conscience is clear, and Amanda knows the truth. We'll fight this battle their way if we must, but we done giving them ground. His resolve was reflected in the steady faces around him. Leo, ever loyal. Russell, methodical. Thomas, unflappable. And somewhere upstairs, Amanda, brave and unbroken. Whatever Natalie and Brennan had left in their arsenal, Vincent was certain it would not be enough. He built this family, and now he would defend it with everything he had. She did not need to sell me anything, Brennan replied, a hint of smugness in his voice. I've watched your operations for years, Delacroix. Your reputation precedes you. Ruthless, uncompromising, and prepared to destroy anyone who gets in your way. You've made plenty of enemies, and now those enemies have allies. Vincent kept his tone carefully neutral. Alleged enemies, Brennan. But even business rivalry is not the same as criminal conspiracy. Natalie made her choices. She stole, lied, and put Amanda in danger with her reckless actions. Those are facts, not accusations. Brennan gave a short, dismissive laugh. What matters is the narrative, Vincent. The court of public opinion will decide who walks away with power and who gets ruined. With my resources, my attorneys, and my contacts in the press, you'll be painted as a dangerous, obsessive man unfit to raise your own daughter and undeserving of your company. Natalie will be cast as the survivor, forced to extremes by your cold control. Vincent leaned back in his chair, steel in his voice. You betting on the wrong woman, Brennan. And you underestimating the people who know the truth. Amanda, Lisa, everyone whose lives you threaten to destroy with your campaign. You can leak bought and paid for stories all day long. You can push your narrative. But it would not change the evidence. And it certainly would not change Amanda's testimony. She knows what her mother did. For a moment, Brennan was silent. Then his tone hardened. The war is not over, Delacroix. Not by a long shot. I suggest you prepare yourself for a very public, very painful fight. Because I do not lose easily. And Natalie is far stronger than you realize. Vincent's voice was calm, but unflinching. Good. I do not lose easily either, Maxwell. See you in court. He ended the call, feeling the weight of the coming battle settle over him. The stakes were higher now, the alliances more treacherous. But as he looked at the photograph of Amanda smiling in the snow, he reminded himself exactly what and who he was fighting for. And he vowed once more not to stop until justice and truth prevailed, no matter the cost. I want to know everything about Brennan's activities in that area, Vincent instructed. Every permit, every inspection report, every communication with city officials. If he's trying to use that project against me, I want to know how. Russell acknowledged the task. I'll get on it immediately. Vincent ended the call, his mind racing. Brennan's threats were more than just bluster. He was actively seeking leverage. Vincent would not be caught off guard. He picked up his phone again and called Thomas. I need to see you in my office first thing tomorrow. We need to prepare a counteroffensive against Brennan and Natalie. Thomas agreed, his voice grave. I'll be there. Vincent ended the call, feeling a sense of grim determination. He would not be intimidated, not by Brennan, not by Natalie, not by anyone. He would fight back with every resource at his disposal, and he would win. As he stood, he looked out the window at the city lights, a symbol of the battles he had fought and won. This would be no different. He would emerge victorious, as he always had. The next morning, Vincent arrived at his office early, already reviewing the latest reports from Russell. Brennan's activities at the Westlake site were extensive, with numerous permits and inspections filed in rapid succession. It seemed Brennan was rushing to complete some kind of development, but the exact nature of the project remained unclear. Thomas arrived promptly, his expression serious. "I've reviewed the new motions filed by Wright," he said, taking a seat across from Vincent. "They pushing hard on the conspiracy angle, trying to create reasonable doubt." Vincent nodded, unconcerned. "Doubt is irrelevant when faced with documented evidence. We stick to the facts, Thomas. The bank statements, the text messages, the police reports. The truth will prevail." Thomas looked at him, admiration in his eyes. "You remarkably calm, given the circumstances." Vincent smiled coldly. "Calm is not the same as complacent, Thomas. I know exactly what we up against, and I'm prepared to fight." Thomas nodded, returning the smile. "Then let us fight." As they began to strategize, Vincent felt a sense of purpose, of resolve. This battle would be long and difficult, but he was ready. Ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged him to justice. And as he looked into Thomas's eyes, seeing the same determination reflected there, he knew that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead together, that they would rebuild, they would heal, and they would emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future. As they worked, Vincent's phone buzzed with a text from Leo. "Amanda's safe. She's with Lisa at the house. No sign of any unusual activity." Vincent felt a wave of relief, followed by a surge of protectiveness. He would not let anyone harm his daughter, not again, not ever. He turned back to Thomas, his expression unyielding. "Let us end this, Thomas. Let us bring them down." He looked up at the others, a rare glint of satisfaction in his eyes. "We sent Brennan a certified copy of the complete remediation process. Leo, let him try to spin a technical masterpiece as a scandal. He's about to realize just how badly he's underestimated us." Thomas arched an eyebrow. "What about Natalie? She'll be watching Brennan's reaction. Once he learns he has nothing, her support will falter. Without leverage, her attorneys lose their negotiating position, in court and in the press." Vincent's voice sharpened. "But we proceed carefully. Palmer Media will issue the statement clarifying our environmental record and innovation, using the same independent data we just reviewed. Leo, prep Amanda and Lisa for any media inquiries at the house." Leo nodded. "Already drafting a backgrounder for Amanda. I'll have a security update for you tonight." Vincent scanned the brightening horizon through the conference room windows. The city felt different today, as if the tide was turning. The sense of anticipation was almost electric. Thomas looked at him, a slow smile breaking the tension. "It's rare you get to watch your enemies defeat themselves." Vincent allowed himself a thin, genuine smile. "It's rarer still they thank you for the privilege." As the final preparations for their legal and media counterstrike came together, Vincent felt the cold satisfaction of knowing their enemies were outmaneuvered. He had not merely survived Brennan and Natalie's final attack. He turned it into proof of his own superiority, and the world would know it. For the first time in months, Vincent allowed himself to hope that the worst was behind them. After so much destruction, perhaps it was finally time to begin rebuilding. A new chapter was about to begin, not just for Delacroix Construction, but for Vincent and Amanda as well. A future hard won, built from ashes, but sparkling with the promise of something better. He glanced at the photo of Amanda on his desk, smiling on a boat under the bright sun. This was why he fought, and this time he knew he had truly won. "Do you really understand what you risking here, Natalie? Have you actually read the entirety of those reports? Or are you trusting Brennan's interpretation?" Natalie arched a perfectly shaped eyebrow, her voice cool. I have read enough to know you lied, Vincent. You hid the truth. Vincent's gaze sharpened. Then tell me, Natalie, if the contamination was so severe, why have not any Westlake residents reported health issues in the years since the project was completed? Why did independent testers, brought in by buyers' attorneys, clear the site long ago? Why does the city's random spot testing from last quarter show nothing above baseline? She hesitated, caught off guard for the first time, glancing uncertainly at Brennan. Vincent picked up the folder at last, leafing through the so-called evidence, his movements slow and deliberate. This is everything? He asked. Brennan nodded confidently. It's more than enough. The city would not ignore this. Without looking up, Vincent replied, Actually, it might interest you to know I brought my own expert tonight. In fact, he's waiting outside. He pressed a button under the table. The adjoining door opened, and Leo entered, accompanied by Delacroix Construction's head of environmental compliance and 2 independent remediation consultants, each a recognized specialist in their field. Brennan and Wright both sat straighter, hands tightening on the arms of their chairs. Vincent nodded to the team. Everything you see in this folder was compared to the original data, remediation process, and ongoing monitoring. Gentlemen, would you care to summarize the findings? The chief consultant spoke up, concise and confident. All remediation exceeded regulatory standards, was independently verified, and has held clean for 5 years. Any suggestion of ongoing risk or hidden contamination is simply false. In fact, the modifications to the original reports protected proprietary methods, not concealed failures. Vincent closed the folder and fixed his gaze on Brennan. Then Natalie. Your so-called smoking gun is nothing but evidence of our innovation. If you send this to the EPA or the city, you only prove Delacroix Construction is setting new standards for environmental excellence, and that your claims are built on lies. Natalie's expression faltered, and Brennan's smugness faded into tight-lipped irritation. This changes nothing, Brennan tried, but the force in his voice was gone. Vincent allowed himself a wintry smile. On the contrary, this changes everything. The only question left, Maxwell, is how much public embarrassment you are willing to risk by pushing a proven falsehood when the facts are so clearly against you. And Natalie, if you truly care about Amanda and what happens next, this is the moment to reconsider your alliances. The silence that followed was thick with realization. In the next room, the hidden witnesses waited, and the recording devices captured every word. A record ready to shield the truth at last from every remaining attack. Garrett Walsh, Vincent began, addressing the mercenary directly. You were hired by Dominic Reynolds to retrieve documents from Natalie's hotel room on April 15th. Correct? Walsh hesitated, then nodded. Yes. Reynolds believed Natalie had documents that could implicate him in their schemes. He sent me to retrieve them. And did you find them? Walsh shook his head. No. The room had already been ransacked. Someone else had beaten me to it. Vincent turned to Natalie, his expression unyielding. Someone who knew exactly what they were looking for. Someone who wanted to frame me for a crime I did not commit. Natalie's face paled, but she said nothing. Vincent turned back to Walsh. And after you failed to retrieve the documents, what did you do? Walsh looked at Brennan, then back to Vincent. I reported back to Reynolds. He was furious. He accused Natalie of double-crossing him, of trying to sell the documents to the highest bidder. He ordered me to make sure she could not do that, to make sure she could not talk. Vincent's voice was low, dangerous. And how did you plan to accomplish that? Walsh's eyes flicked to Natalie, then back to Vincent. I was going to kill her, but I never got the chance. Vincent nodded, his expression cold. Because you were interrupted by a certain home invasion. Walsh nodded. Yes. By you. Vincent's smile was chilling. No, Garrett. By fate. He turned to Brennan. You see, Maxwell, Natalie's little scheme to frame me backfired spectacularly. She tried to use my own security measures against me, but she underestimated my foresight. She underestimated my daughter, and she underestimated me. Brennan's expression was a mix of anger and frustration. This is ridiculous. You see not prove any of this. Vincent's smile widened. Actually, I can. And I will. He nodded to Leo, who stepped forward, holding a tablet displaying a series of text messages. These were sent from Natalie's phone to Reynolds on the night of April 15th. They discussed the documents, the break-in, and your plan to silence her. They also mention a certain business associate who would be interested in purchasing the documents. An associate with deep pockets and a grudge against Delacroix Construction. Brennan's face darkened, but he said nothing. Vincent turned to Natalie, his voice soft, but unyielding. You played a dangerous game, Natalie, and you lost. He turned back to Brennan. And as for you, Maxwell, I suggest you reconsider your alliances. Because the next time we meet, it will be in court. And I will destroy you. With that, Vincent stood, buttoning his suit jacket. Leo, please escort our guests out. As they departed, Vincent felt a sense of satisfaction, of justice served. The battle was over, the war won. And as he stood there, alone in the dining room, he knew that he had emerged victorious. That he had protected his family, had brought those who had wronged them to justice, and had ensured that the truth would prevail. And as he made his way out of the hotel, he knew that the future was bright, that the darkness had passed, and that a new chapter was about to begin. Vincent turned to Brennan, his voice cold and unyielding. You see, Maxwell, I've known about your involvement for some time. I've known about your attempts to undermine my company, to steal my secrets, to destroy my family. And I've been waiting for the right moment to expose you, to bring you down. And that moment is now. He turned to Natalie, his expression softening slightly. As for you, Natalie, I'm sorry. Sorry that you chose this path. Sorry that you allowed yourself to be manipulated by Brennan. Sorry that you betrayed our family. But I see not change your choices. I see not forgive your actions. All I can do is protect Amanda, protect our family, and bring you to justice. He turned back to Brennan, his voice hardening once again. And as for you, Maxwell, you refinished. Your attempts to destroy me, to destroy my family, to destroy my company, they end today. Because I would not let you hurt us anymore. I would not let you get away with what you've done. And I would not let you destroy what matters most to me. He stood, buttoning his suit jacket, his expression unyielding. Leo, please escort our guests out. And make sure they understand that any further attempts to contact me, to contact Amanda, to contact anyone in my family, will result in immediate legal action. As Brennan, Wright, and Natalie were led from the room, Vincent felt a sense of satisfaction, of justice served. The battle was over, the war won. And as he stood there, alone in the dining room, he knew that he had emerged victorious. That he had protected his family, had brought those who had wronged them to justice, and had ensured that the truth would prevail. And as he made his way out of the hotel, he knew that the future was bright, that the darkness had passed, and that a new chapter was about to begin. A chapter of healing, of rebuilding, of moving forward. And as he stepped out into the sunlight, he knew that he was ready. Ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged him to their knees. And as he walked to his car, he knew that he was not alone. That he had Amanda by his side, that he had his family, and that together they would face whatever came next. That they would rebuild, they would heal, and they would emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future. She wiped her eyes, her gaze drifting to the table. Brennan saw that in me before I even realized it myself. He offered attention, purpose, excitement. None of it was right, but it felt like life after years of feeling invisible. I am not excusing what I did. I know I destroyed everything, but I wanted to matter to someone, to make choices for myself, even if they were the wrong ones. Vincent let the silence settle, emotions warring beneath his composed exterior. You mattered to me, Natalie. You always did. But our marriage was supposed to be a partnership. What you did, what you became, was a choice, not a necessity. Natalie looked up, pain clear in her expression. Maybe I was weak. Maybe I let resentment and other people shape my decisions too much. I wish I could undo it, Vincent. Not for me. For Amanda. I never wanted to hurt her. I never wanted. Her voice broke. Vincent's tone softened just enough to show a fleeting melancholy. Yet you did. And now, Amanda's healing means setting boundaries you may never cross again. This is the price we all pay. Natalie nodded, shoulders crumpling. Will you tell her I am sorry? Not for you. Not even for me. But for her. And when she's ready, if she ever is, will you ask her to let me try to make amends? Vincent regarded her for a long moment, then finally said, I will tell her, but forgiveness is up to Amanda now, and I will not stand in her way whatever she decides. He rose, offering no hand, only a final merciful nod. Goodbye, Natalie. Without another word, Vincent left the conference room, stepping from the shadows of betrayal and heartbreak toward the brighter promise of a new life. The wounds would take time to heal, but he and Amanda would carry on, stronger, wiser, and forever changed by the truth. Outside in the lobby, Leo waited with a quiet nod. Everything set? Vincent gave a tight smile. It is. Let us go home. And together they walked out, leaving the past behind, and stepping into a new chapter, scarred, but unbroken, and ready to build again. Leo nodded and left the room, closing the door softly behind him. Vincent turned back to the window, his reflection staring back at him. The battle was over, the war won. The enemies who had sought to destroy him, to tear his family apart, had been defeated. And yet there was no triumph in his heart, only a deep, abiding sadness. He had won, but at what cost? His marriage was over, his family fractured, his daughter scarred. The price of victory had been high, perhaps too high. But he had done what was necessary, what was right. He had protected his family, had brought those who had wronged them to justice, and had ensured that the truth would prevail. And as he stood there, alone in his office, he knew that he had emerged from the darkness into the light of a brighter future. A future where his family could heal, could rebuild, could grow strong once more. A future where he could be the father, the man that Amanda needed him to be. A future where he could find redemption, forgiveness, and peace. And as he turned from the window, he knew that the journey would be long, that the road would be difficult, but that he was ready. Ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged him to their knees. And as he picked up the letter from Natalie, he knew that he would give it to Amanda, that he would support her in whatever decision she made, and that he would be there for her, always. For she was his daughter, his heart, his soul, and he would do whatever it took to protect her, to keep her safe, and to bring her the happiness she deserved. And as he left his office, he knew that the future was bright, that the darkness had passed, and that a new chapter was about to begin. A chapter of healing, of rebuilding, of moving forward. And as he walked down the hallway, he knew that he was not alone. That he had Amanda by his side, that he had his family, and that together they would face whatever came next. That they would rebuild, they would heal, and they would emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future. And as he stepped out into the sunlight, he knew that he was ready. Ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged him to their knees. And as he walked to his car, he knew that he was ready to begin again. This is where our story comes to an end. Vincent Delacroix stood in his office, the city lights reflecting off his determined eyes. The battle was over, the war won. His enemies had been defeated, their schemes unraveled, and justice served. The past was settled, and now it was time to build the future, stronger, more secure, and free from those who had proven themselves unworthy of his trust or mercy. In the world Vincent inhabited, betrayal was unforgivable, and vengeance, when necessary, was absolute. Those who had learned this lesson would never forget it. Those who had not yet would eventually, and Vincent would continue as he always had, protecting what was his with unwavering determination and ruthless efficiency. No mercy for the deserving. No forgiveness for the disloyal. These were the principles by which he lived, the code that had brought him success and now, finally, justice. As he gazed out at the city, he knew that the future was bright, that the darkness had passed, and that a new chapter was about to begin. A chapter of healing, of rebuilding, of moving forward. And as he turned from the window, he knew that he was ready. Ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to bring those who had wronged him to their knees. And as he walked down the hallway, he knew that he was not alone. That he had Amanda by his side, that he had his family, and that together they would face whatever came next. That they would rebuild, they would heal, and they would emerge from this darkness into the light of a brighter future.